One. One. Preface. The context: poetry, livelihood, philosophy, that is as following, and this by no means excludes other subject matter to be enlisted, is a work of such matter extending in time over a period of a few years, from the midst of the year 2006 until more or less a few years afterward. Likewise, this work includes a various plenitude of writings before the original dated foundation, due to desire to behold a state of thoroughness and completion, seeing to it that all the encompassing work possible was brought into representation as a whole, that it is brought into existence. Early writings, too, given proper representation and possession within. Throughout these various years during this book's accumulation and completion of these writings, the poetry, philosophy, and art, I, as the author, merely felt patient enough to retire and wrest the book into an archive of legacy for a time, only when afterward, where various scholarly pursuits into the misty realms of knowledge, history, philosophy, religion, art, etc., had then awakened my sense of vigor, drive, and ambition to realize, complete, and submit my personal testimonial book to the public domain, did I then experience a kind of necessary, fated desire to finish this work, correct the many punctuative errors, of which there was an abundance, though after much labor there seems to have been a reasonable sublimation, to project forth this work to the hands of an agent, seeing to it that the book, long since retired and resting in the background of my interests and motivation, finally was to become published, neatly organized, distributed, and officially recognized as a utilitarian contender within the field of authors, writers, artists, philosophers, poets. The style and context throughout the work of this book changes dramatically. As pointed out, this is made evident from various persons that of a consistent progression, development, and advancement of form, intellect, and character throughout the years are passed from the former days until the latter. There is a second book in which works are becoming completed, one that relates additionally to this particular book, one that is deeper, ever the more philosophically endeavors, and possessive of great magnitude due to the subsequent experience and acquired wisdom over the latter years. Although the second book is by no means near finished or in a state of completion now as I write this. There are musical testaments, pieces improvised on the piano, recorded, that exist accordingly, like this book, and consist of some projections of art, likewise, that I find desirous to submit. However, for now, I resituate myself in the task and responsibility of completing and submitting this book, in particular to the public domain. A great quantity of labor has been taken in correcting the many mistakes and errors that would catch the eye and reformulate the subject with a decisive, however negative, vision of this work. This I urge myself to prevent strongly, to eliminate the possibility of this happening, having taken liberty enough correction for negative opinion not to logically or with sufficient reason take place. This book, The Birth of the Fool, exemplifies and represents much unique subject matter and ideas of fundamental significance. Throughout the work, the reader will experience, as has become evidenced by circumstance, a blatant disregard of the consideration that the author might appear proud, wicked, or powerful in desire or of provision. This notion permeates throughout nearly the whole context and content of the book. I think that if a reader comes here to these pages from a vastly separate background, one that is far removed from the showmanship of evil and pride, that the overall content of this book will prove for him probably offensive, immoral, unlikable, and desirous of the work to become banished, overlooked, forgotten, or virtually destroyed, in a more severe juvenile case. Yet his kind of character, which usually manifests undesirous qualities for mine in reciprocation, bears little weight or impression upon me, and I am glad as well that the overall general spirit of my age is one of license and liberty, so that likewise I fear not much arbitrary action or condemnation on me. It will likely become heavily achieved. 2 or 3 positive certain characters prove of much degree and interest and worth and value for my person, as it was during this time that the book was written and at its development. One of these characters is that of Thomas Gabriel Boyer. Everywhere, nearly throughout this book in particular, appears some direct or indirect allusion in reference to some of his words, or of unique concepts that he would use in lyrical writing or art in general within his most notable band, Celtic Frost. This allusion reference proves to me most substantial most substantial, abundant, and observable, while reading more of the poetic remarks and articles in this book. For most of the time, these poetic remarks in particular are rather concise and blunt, as much potential logic is scrapped in place of a massive generalization of pictures, visions, and Platonic ideas, consequently and inevitably yielding a unique result that bears absolutist, monarchical proportion and perspective. One of the other major aspiring characters that was involved in the influence and creative motivation of this work, owing honestly in much debt in regard toward, is the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. It is true that Friedrich Nietzsche gave much credit to the influencing of my character throughout these earlier years, most especially during the years from 2006 until 2008. There is an eccentric dash use utilized in substitution for periods throughout nearly all the writings from this time, one that I attribute influence to from Nietzsche himself, most especially from the will to power notations throughout nearly every one of my sentences written, due to an indirect subconscious necessity to continue moving, flowing, living, breathing toward the end which had, as of that time, become reached its actuality. Use of periods once again appears gradually in late 2007 or early 2008, soon culminating by 2009 or 2010, within a full usage of them, the dash usage rarely in effect, due to, from what I see, the now necessary intervention of a mystical, mysterious end of some sort of reality that had finally become achieved. Although during the beginning from August to September of 2006, a very unique, eccentric yet unique state of mind at the time, with its dash use at the end of sentences, would as such slowly become ever the more perceived and manifest in its existence. This is observable to the reader while skimming through the vast majority of the contents of the book at present. However, it was Schopenhauer's notion and conception of the word will that grasped my attention, however erroneously, as I later learned and re-evaluated from him, after deeper reading into his work, to prioritize the intellect over the will. Ever since my experiencing the magnum opus, The World as Will and Representation, in late 2005 or early 2006, I acquired a new breadth of knowledge that consisted in the observation of this very notion, while intending to express as such so many other influences, yet with the will in a kind of priority domineering position. Such a course and fate of my life had taken shape as of what it was to become. Barbarous ethics gave much attraction to me at this point in time when the book was being written, likely due to mere juvenile mindset and youthful predication that I had at the time. Nearly the sum total of the articles and writings in this book were taken down and preserved from an epochal and unique website, one full of sociable interest and self-expression from its users. I think it was this very freedom and liberty to expression and artistic representation that may have given and added that degree of potency and magic to the aura, air, and atmosphere of these writings as they were soon to become. A few friends I had known upon the domain of this website throughout the time of the completion of this book were in the vast majority of the letters that were as well taken down from that website, MySpace, are presented here in this book, one that takes consequential shape and form. It is true that I don't feel it necessary to complete a total sufficient dialogue or introduction in regard to the preceding formation of these writings, for such a feeling of total sufficiency and thoroughness, representing the very meticulous and minute details of this book's nature, its historical progression and creative activities through such and such a time, are already represented, reasoned, and implemented well enough within the soul and spirit of the work that is now soon to follow. Here I present the vast and near complete accumulation of a work of several years' time, documented, given creative license and birth, and grown mature well enough as time succeeds and renders my world's form evident as such. Here is my first complete, fundamental, and visionary work, The Birth of the Fool. Adam Kopecky, October 27, 2011. The table of contents. Prelude to Departure. Calm upon the open surf. Thunder across horizons. Page 11, page 16, page 29. The First of the Storms, page 98. Fantasies of the Lost Day, page 114. Advancing Clouds of Blindness and Mystery, page 132. The Deep Engulfment in the Hurricane of the Tempest, page 158. Point of Absolution in the Sinking Ship, page 288. Washed ashore and floating adrift, page 293. stationed in the wastelands of the Forbidden Island. Page 304. All that remained was the bitterness of delusion. Page 311. The aftermath of the voyage. Page 329. The birth of the fool. Page 473. Epilogue. Page 521. Appendage. Page 543. Prelude to Departure. Into the crypts of rays. Across the mountain's ice, scarlet at the equinox's dawn, I sacrificed an innocent lamb and drank the wine of paradise. But still run the sands of time, one thing yet to be done. As spells surround me at a light masses night, he raised the abyss, covered by the sword. I sold my soul in vain. I feel it as he returns. The sands of time will never run for an immortal dead man. See the portal, gate to madness, locked forever in a vial of shame. Deny extraction, thirst for disgrace, watch his breaking, the emperors killed. Light of the day, shadows from beyond, scaffold of steel, the throne has gone, gone. The foot of the stairs, dimension in might, the king sits, his eyes are glass, growing of the small, laughters fall. Can you deny remaining cries, descent of the lords, into the trap, existence and hate, unseen gate, dethroned emperor. You are blind, deny the sun and light. Whose are the objections? From where come the doubts? Evidence of infinity, procreation of the wicked, serenades of opposition, absurdity, human fate, and hope, a true reflection of community, procreation of the gods, and lost. Cain and Abel's love and death. Love and hate is what we are, and where. Dagger and Grail have fallen off the altar. If God raised the abyss, you'd procreate your own. Abolishment of death is abolishment of life. I've killed this old man because he limped. I've done it because he shouldn't have to do it. They will never have shit like this anymore. Martin Eric Ain, exile from dysfunctional family. Thomas Gabriel Warrior concocts volatile music. The rehearsal bunker and outlandish appearance. Crucifix of up and down. Overdone mysticism and desperate Satanism. Ha! There's no human scheme in the beyond. Extreme music and only death is real. October 2006. Calm upon the open surf. The Philosophy 1. Honor was abundant through the medieval era. Man had become introduced with new virtue. Crusades enforced inauguration of general European man with the New Testament. The real future plays its course. The restriction of the Catholic doctrine, a misuse of it, apologies. At the same time it was seen man and heretic, Inquisitions abound, the stake burned. With revival of Plato and his rationalism, with revival of earlier life seen greater, renaissances, will for the past, lone genius over the collected, to be above life, good, increased pandemonium, confusion within the doctrine. It is seeing itself the Martin Luthers and a need for reformation. The Church, in response to this, equals a declared blasphemy, must respond to reform, reaction, counter-reformation births, clarification and reply, Baroque aesthetic in man's construction serving the highest power, reaction again, reasoning, empiricism, proof of God and existence, furthering Descartes and his philosophy approach. Enlightenment and its birth, removal of residence, occupation outside tyranny, colonized land, new law, new approach. Goethe and Faust, Dionysian path, social revolution, industry, surge and birth, empires and their falls, republics and their rise, reaction, the battle of the destiny, fate takes its course, the good wins, hence onward good in its unstoppable victories, not much later matters, nihilism increases. End point, forced integration and tyrannical use of the Christian philosophies, history to take the course, bad, prior to it all, however, prior to any of the malady. The moment of the painful good, however, for once may be initiation toward becoming over it all the next, yet it is left for fate in its determination of the path. November 2006. The Philosophy, 2. On the 5 books of law. The first book of law, i.e. Moses' Genesis, with the portrayal of the new God and his impression in what would be made by unintroduced man. The Old Testament, man in reality introduced to the concept of monotheism, the God unknown, bearing relation not to man. He is a God of wrath and vengeance upon man. He is, in the books of law, willing to order his man absent of reason. Man, at least what appears to be in the older books, is fearing his God. The relationship itself, equating as oppositional to man as can be sensed, as regarding the difference between monotheism and polytheism, the relationship of heavenly body and man transforms from family, as the conception of the God figures had been a priori found in nearly all land regardless, to a master-slave dictatorship, as had become with Judaism and the Testament of old. Man serves his God, God orders his man. The books of law in the Old Testament are to be seen, will this and execute the action. You are mine, I am not for you. The near figure of right emerges. Man subjugates himself to the concept of higher power, yet holy power, of the unknown and unreal. November 2006. The Philosophy, 3. The factor involving Christianity in the binary extremity, and the execution of the Christian doctrine via fire and brimstone if man isn't compliant. The heaven and hell concept being the tactic par excellence. Old Testament, God in relation to man, master and slave. New Testament, Christ in relation to man, hope, faith, etc. The Jewish kingdom and its depletion of spirit brought forth the new philosopher, one who became mythicized away as every archetypal god. However, Christ being feared and untouched, he is not descended from Shem, Ham, Japhet, etc. No. He has come forth belonging to an unknown, who again is a god figure feared by man, feared during the moments by whosoever wills to disobey the dual extremity of new morality, history and its religious malady, the role of this regarding the Christ, the confusion commencing. In accordance with the Old Testament, the old law of man, particularly concerning the Middle East, is thence redeemed and forgiven, yet the law in place, the replica being enforced, denial of the will to live in honor of thy God, the Christ is the next idol from the tale become legend, again belonging not to man. In the early desperation of man's conversion, the holy man belonging to the unknown, being stated executioner of miracles, Romans hearing, he is saviour of humanity. After life there is but heaven or hell. Hear this as well, afterlife is eternity, and afterlife of paradise or damnation, etc. The Christian man of the Roman Empire had went to the beggar, the uneducated man, and such, that he knew the difficulty of converting the noble elite man. The pagan nightmare had been the noble elite man, a Christian, with elaborate usage of monetary gain. to give it to the poor man, the uneducated man, hear the call, gentleman, etc. Onward history, a posteriori, see the Indo-European family languages, in the adoption in speech, the plentiful amount of adjective, convey plattered use of good, bad, civilization, materialism and moralism became complex. I declare life and choice in a dual form, need for extremes, thought, reflection, or need for none at all, being, sensation. November 2006. Critique of Lohengrin. Wagner created an opera portraying heroic themes, drawing his source from the Arthurian legends. Wagner, in his modern rejection, he would prefer an older age prior to the world humane ideal becoming espoused during the time of the creation. The worthless king and his pacts with the Eastern Tsar. Man having fiction and history as an aid, Wagner drew the conclusion that the combination of the fantastic with the realistic shall be appropriate for his dream. Henceforth, Lohengrin's motive rings the holy A major sound, the opera set in real time, real location, a calling for Bavaria's Ludwig and for its action put forth the German unification. Aside from this, one must note of the protagonism and antagonism, the act of holy being within the Christian confine. One must note that the religion in its context is set in the 10th century era of Christendom's history. The early Roman Catholic Church and the difference of this with the ongoing surge of downgrade Protestant divisions further into the future, the weak democracy and reasoning concepts of enlightenment, the solution to the equation with the same expected result, the result are wrong. The Rousseaus and Jeffersons, the new confused approach as a stem and effect that equals human self-promotion, resulting from the old church doctrine. Man knowing no other excuse to convey his nature but the effect of the conflict in its length. Due to Wagner's general use, his student Nietzsche, with his philosophy, in this case regarding the operas and the subject matter, grew disarrayed with Wagner's artworks and its integration of the theology. However, Wagner's opera has the ability to remain outside the concept of a limit, and is capable of assisting in the willpower wanting for man when in his distress. The opera is realism fantasy. The dream becomes real. The opera gives the strength. The hero speaks absolute love, yet intertwines absolute truth. The listener later gives his hope for an escape of the modern hell in the birth of his strength. November 2006. Facts of Basic. Personality, Belief, Survey. Basics. First and middle name. Adam. Age, birthday, 19. Relationship status, single. Occupation, wanderer of mountains. Have kids, want kids. No kids for me. At the moment I do not see this as so. Favorite music. Specifics being classical, metal, anything extreme really. Favorite movies. Comedy, horror. Favorite colors. Black, grey, white. Favorite seasons or holiday. Winter. Personality. Optimist or pessimist. Pessimist. Very talkative or more quiet. Quiet around crowds, can be very talkative otherwise. Center of attention. Not usually. Plain music sometimes calls for attention. Love to show off. Yes, though I'm more reserved today. Overly friendly to people you don't like. Yes, I tend to be. Cause any. When the occasion calls for it. Always looking on the positives. Yes, I've been practicing this recently. Always looking at the negatives. Yes, I impulsively look at the negatives, though. Easily see faults, not positive points, of people. No, I tend to put behind his/her mistake and pretend I hadn't seen the fault. Want to be appreciated for everything you do. Yes, I have learned this is impulsive and has become natural from my youth. Want to be seen for everything you do. Yes, unfortunately for me, my suffering. Mope around if things aren't going the way you want them to. Yes. Cheer others on. This question is general too much for me to answer. Smile through the thick and thin. Try to. Compliment others. Again, this is general. Insult others. See above. Love to sing in the shower. I do not. Love to spend time with family. I wish I had a family I would love to spend time with. Rather spend time with family or friends. Neither. I'll rather spend time alone. Love animals, even snakes. For me, Animals are not loved or hated. They are there, predator and prey, organized on each level of the food chain for the stronger animal in its survival. Love to be around children. Yes, in fact, I love to be around children. Love house chores. Yes, yet yard work I find to be more lovable. Hate rainy days. Love rainy days. Get annoyed easily at very slow drivers. I am a slow driver. Get annoyed with reckless drivers. Yes, I do. Hate school. I do, yet my thought on this is too complicated to explain here. Dislike your teachers. This is too general. Ask questions which are more integral. Hate homework. Too general. Love hanging around church friends. I have friends that go to church. I love hanging around them. Love hanging around school friends more. Yes, I say it is so. Get along with your parents well. I do. Get along with your siblings, other family well. Yes, with my metal warrior brother. Flirt. I'm really shy with this method. Flirt with taking girls or lips. Again, see above. Consider yourself to dress modestly. Some days I will dress in collar shirts and slacks. Other days, look at the opposite sex in a lustful way. I try not to, though fantasizing counts, yes. Try to get attention from the opposite sex, from particular girls. Do you believe in God? No. Devil? No. Heaven? No. Hell? No. Demons? No. Holy Spirit? No. Ghosts? No. Angels? No. Fairies? No. Santa Claus? No. Love at first sight? No. Easter Bunny? No. Aliens? Evolution? No. Other spiritual gods? No, I don't believe they exist today and are holy, but I believe in them to receive my power and courage. Luck? No. Fate? No. Everything the Bible says? No. Opinions? What do you think of homosexuality? Where does the ambivalence of this come from? Gay marriage. Marriage is Christian sanctimony. Homosexuality is Christian blasphemy. Homosexuality, marriage, equals derailment of logic. Abortion. Again, where does the ambivalence of this come from? Abortion in the case of rape. See above. War in Iraq. Don't know specifics about it. Don't care specifics about it. America will lose from the country in her way in handling war and combat. George W. Bush. Who is he? I've lost care in politics for so long. John Kerry. Again, he and George W. Bush mean nothing to me. Politics in general, I do care less. Bisexuals. Environment. Biology. Which is it that makes the person? Cast more shame. Spread more humanism. Which is it that must approaches him? I do care less. Hollywood. This city seems a nice place to visit. The city is not for me, however. Celebrities. Don't know many of them. Oprah. She's a talk show host. This is what I know. Dr. Phil. He's a talk show host. Again, what I know. Jerry Springer. Talk show host. Though I know some about him. Nothing comfortable or pleasing. Republicans. Republicrats. Democrats. Democants. Brokeback Mountain. I don't know. It's a place, a movie. What is it? Horror movies. I'm a fan of the old movies, 70s, 80s. Comedies such as American Pie. I like comedies, though very, very few. Secular rap, example, Ludacris. I like learning about rap in general, but I am a white man, and this music is not for me. I'm extreme and spiritually in conflict, not minimal. 700 Club, I don't like it. Death penalty, there should be no reward for suffering. No punishment for comfort. Gun control, the hero of a land should get the weapon. The world peace, an example of European exhaustion in the coming suicide. Cheating, either one woman for me for my whole life, or as many women as I please. Dating between ages 13 to 16. This age range is too young and not understanding a man and woman. Dating between ages 16 and 18. See above. Making out before marriage. I don't care really. Holding hands before marriage. See above. Sex before marriage. If Christian, then I am against. If agnostic, etc., I don't care. It is odd, however, that this person is married, not Christian, not taking marriage to its full. This is either all or none. Porn. Where does the ambivalence of this issue come from? Stifling of the will. Soft porn. Where comes stifling of the will? Legalizing marijuana If civilization is willing to commit suicide, I say legalize. If civilization is serious about its evolution, then keep illegal. Drinking before 21 concerns the civilization its will to continue as serious. If caring less for this, then civilization can commit suicide and downgrade. Endpoint, outlaw it regardless of age. Drinking and driving. This is drinking and dying. Drinking after 21. C2 above. Saddam Hussein. Don't know, don't care. America I belong not to. Her man is not my ally. I care for myself within my own realm of being and territory, beyond national international thought. By curious people, he or she be themselves without separate emotion, should approach his or her will with honor. The by extreme feelings will tone down, vaporize, eventually vanish. Sex parties. Where does this event come from? Cuddle parties. See above complaint. Co-ed slumber parties. C2 above. Materialism. It is the second most hated idea on my list. Divorce. What do I think of marriage, really? Divorce of a cheating spouse. This marriage idea is mysterious and enormous. Teen sex. The rage of the hormones. The act of the will. The teen with the need to learn, also with the need to rebel. Teen pregnancy. It is not a consequence or comfort. Birth control. Depends whether or not on the size of human population. Morning after pill. It will not be my child. Breast implants. Crush that impulse and let it ferment. Build it up. What do we see as results? Our wants. What are they? Cosmetic surgeries. Facial or body. See above. Hunting. Don't care. For game or survival, man is top. All remaining animal is subjugated to him. If no human regulation, then nature regulates. Fate takes its course. Human cloning. Medicine and science want to lengthen man's life. He needs it shortened, rather, by request of both overpopulation and his suffering. PETA. Overmouth moralism. I want to see it outlawed. Interracial relationships. This is basic. Separation or mongrelization. A world of diversity or world of mongrels. December 2006. Woman. And without reason, not with thought or right, man is ached, burdened, trapped in his shell, wanting his much. And with reason, with thought and such, man is first come with a rejection, a denial to accept his motherly mystery, his ocean of tongue. Whence he accepts this suggestion, and perhaps learns he the pains of life more than will hide. Comes he this ascetic more close to relief of life and endless suffering. His bliss ever and more. November 2006. Woman 2. And man pains the self of him, thinks through time, anew to him, voice of madness. Black is night, the still to come. Edge abstractions, bring him back. Flowing approach, portal entrance, see the chains, end defiance. No, it is said, retain abbeys, fervorous supplication, finish this nightmare. To reject, he wants this, ready to do so, his will to not. Prepare transition, agony's maxim, meet the abyss ground, the flight of victory, accept the wisdom, nihilistic vaporization. November 2006. Woman 3. I sat, overlooking the view of the valley and the mountains, while it was night out, dark. I was studying the nature of life, listening to the local animals in the relation to the presence of me. I found a sense with myself, beyond human understanding, at the understanding level of the animal. I won't shun my fear, not to see or turn away when willing to face the curious offense of a predator. I meditate and cancel my care for humanity and its goodness or badness, cancellation of this learned moralism. Do what the will says. There's no negation, no fermentation. I am free, one step further from badness. Man sees within. The object appears more. There is the thing in itself. The representation of the object is the source cause of man and his trouble. As if nature willfully equips man with relief, as if equipping man with the cause to effect, she germinates from the beginning. Woman, as the seer of depth beyond thing in itself. The object appears as it is. The woman and her representation of the object is sensed beyond insight. Hence she is troubled less, worrying less for the past and still to come. She is secure to man as she lies to man unknowingly of his place in the present, as a being who should want to care less about his insight and his resulting will. This is why woman is at the same time so stupid and so wise. She is closer to the understanding level of the animal more than man is, or specifically, man who thinks and as a result only troubles himself. Woman in obedience to man. Master and slave. Man in his deep representation. He troubles himself further. He is at the same time so stupid and so wise. Order of rank, placement of where, a revaluation of all morals, even man and woman. November 2006. Natural ontology. I came close to befriending a bird, not close enough. The bird scattered with mistrust, noticing a slight aggression within me, a worry for the future, a thought for the past, a sudden change the bird sensing. You are here, away from the schedule of man. Take your time, pace yourself, you have no obligation. To do this is to inoculate all inheritance of learning from man, and to inaugurate with what learns he from the animal, predator and prey, and what learns he in his relation with the atmosphere and surrounding environment. Adaptation to coexist. Otherwise, see to nature and her reciprocating balance of man in the hierarchy of comfort and suffering. See to pestilence, sweat from bodily energy and nervous reaction. See to out of synchronization with threat. An approaching predator, man absent of preparation, an ontological disconnection. See his death. Man in a suffer or comfort state, though the condition of the two not entirely absent within nature and her confine. Man in this or that state will see offense and attack from a predator, while man and defenseless prey coexist in a careful, careless realm. Man in a state of suffering, regard from defenseless prey. Man in a state of comfort, the more inclination to this will result in disregard from defenseless prey. In any manner, survival technique, in this case ontological technique, the above I suggest within territory of danger. December 2006.